Have you ever been asked the question, "So, tell me about yourself"? It sounds simple, right? But the moment those words hit you, your mind often goes blank, or you start rambling about random things. This one question has the power to make people nervous. Because deep down, it's not just about facts, it's about identity, confidence, and clarity. What do you really say when someone asks you to talk about yourself? That's exactly what we're going to explore today in detail, step by step. Welcome to the English Diary Podcast, where we help you grow in language, confidence, and communication. When you think about it, tell me about yourself is not just an interview question. It shows up in so many moments of life. Meeting new people, attending a networking event, or even chatting casually with a friend's family. The way you answer says a lot about how you see yourself, how you want others to see you, and how confident you feel in your own story. That's why today's discussion is going to be special. Because by the end of this episode, you'll not only understand how to answer this question, but also how to use it as a tool for self-discovery and personal growth. Let's start with the basics. Why do people even ask this question? Think about job interviews. An interviewer has your resume in hand. They already know your name, your degree, maybe even your work history. But when they say, "Tell me about yourself," they're not asking for a list of data points. They want to see how you organize your thoughts, how confident you are, and how well you can communicate who you are in a short amount of time. It's a test of clarity. Can you introduce yourself in a way that is engaging, structured, and meaningful? Now, let's expand beyond interviews. Imagine you are at a conference and you meet someone from another company. They smile, shake your hand, and say, "Tell me about yourself." What they're really asking is, who are you? What do you do? Why should I remember you? In casual settings, when someone new asks you this, they're looking for a window into your personality. So, in every context, the goal is the same, to connect. But the style of answering changes depending on where you are. Here's the first key idea for today. There is no single universal answer. Instead, there are frameworks you can use to shape your response. One of the most effective ones is called the past, present, future method. It works like this. You briefly talk about your background, where you come from, or what you studied. Then you move to the present, what you are currently doing, your skills, or your role. Finally, you share the future, your goals, what excites you, or where you want to go next. This structure creates a natural flow, like a story, and it avoids the trap of giving a random, unconnected answer. For example, let's say you're a college student applying for an internship. Your answer might sound like this. "I'm currently pursuing a degree in computer science, where I've been focusing on data analysis and programming. Last year, I worked on a project that involved creating a small app for students to manage their schedules, which taught me a lot about teamwork and deadlines. Right now, I'm looking for opportunities to apply my skills in a real-world setting, and I'm excited about the possibility of contributing to innovative projects in your company." Notice how that flows. It doesn't sound like memorized lines. It sounds like a small story. Another example. Imagine you're a professional with 5 years of experience in marketing. You could say, "I started my career in digital marketing, where I managed social media campaigns for small businesses. Over the years, I developed strong skills in content creation and brand strategy. Currently, I'm leading a team of 3 at my company, where we focus on growing our online presence and building customer engagement. In the future, I'd love to take on more leadership responsibilities and work on projects that combine creativity with data-driven decision-making." Again, it follows past, present, and future. But here's the catch. Not everyone finds it easy to talk about themselves. Some people feel shy, some worry about sounding arrogant, and some just don't know what's worth mentioning. That's why preparation is so important. A good self-introduction doesn't come out of thin air. You need to think about your story in advance, practice it, and make sure it feels natural. It's like carrying a map in your pocket. Even if the situation is unexpected, you won't get lost. At this point, let's dive into why this question feels so challenging. The first reason is pressure. When someone asks you to talk about yourself, you feel like all eyes are on you. You don't want to mess up, so your brain either goes blank or overflows with too much information. The second reason is self-doubt. Many people think, do I even have something interesting to say? The third reason is lack of structure. Without a plan, your answer can sound like scattered pieces instead of a clear picture. Here's where psychology comes in. Answering "tell me about yourself" is not just about words. It's about self-awareness. The more you know yourself, your strengths, your journey, your values, the easier it becomes to express it. And the more you practice expressing it, the more confident you become in who you are. In other words, this question is a mirror. It shows you how well you understand yourself. Let's pause here and reflect. If I asked you right now, tell me about yourself, what would you say? Would you start with your name, your profession, your hobbies? Or would you freeze for a second? Take a moment and imagine your answer. Think about what part of your story feels most important to share. This reflection is the starting point of building a powerful self-introduction. Now, let's look at some common mistakes people make. First, they repeat their resume word for word. That's boring and doesn't show personality. Second, they go too personal, like talking about their favorite color or how much they love pizza, unless it's a casual setting. Third, they make it too long, turning it into a speech instead of an introduction. And fourth, they sometimes forget to connect their answer to the situation. Remember, your answer should always fit the context. So, what makes a great answer? 3 things: clarity, confidence, and connection. Clarity means your answer is structured and easy to follow. Confidence means you sound comfortable, not rehearsed. And connection means your answer is relevant to the listener, whether it's an interviewer, a colleague, or a new friend. Before we move forward, let's remind ourselves why this matters so much. Communication is not just about information. It's about impression. The first words you say about yourself can shape how others see you. They can open doors or close them. So, learning how to answer this question is not just about interviews. It's about life. Now that we've laid the foundation, let's go deeper into the frameworks and storytelling techniques that can transform a simple introduction into a powerful moment. Remember, the goal is not to impress with fancy words, but to express with clarity and confidence. One of the most effective techniques is the storytelling approach. Human beings are wired to connect with stories. When you introduce yourself as a list of facts, people may forget it in minutes. But when you share your journey like a short story, people remember you. A good story has 3 parts: a beginning, a turning point, and a direction. In self-introduction, your beginning is your background. Your turning point is a key experience that shaped you, and your direction is where you are heading now. For example, imagine someone says, "I grew up in a small town where opportunities were limited, but I always had a passion for technology. The turning point came when I built my first website in high school, and I realized how powerful digital tools can be. That passion led me to study computer engineering, and today I'm working on projects that aim to make technology accessible for rural communities." Notice how this story does more than share facts. It creates an emotional connection. Another framework you can use is the 3-word method. Ask yourself, if I had to describe myself in 3 words, what would they be? For instance, someone might choose curious, resilient, and creative. Then, instead of just saying the words, they explain each with a short example. I describe myself as curious because I'm always eager to learn new things. Resilient because I faced challenges in my career and bounced back stronger. And creative because I enjoy solving problems in innovative ways. This method is simple, but it paints a clear picture of who you are. Now, let's talk about context. As we discussed earlier, your answer should change depending on where you are. In a job interview, you want to focus on professional skills and achievements. In a networking event, you highlight your role and what excites you in your field. In a casual setting, you can mix personal and professional details to show your personality. The art is in adjusting your story without losing authenticity. Think of it like tailoring an outfit. The fabric is the same, you, but the style changes depending on the occasion. A suit for a formal meeting, casual wear for a weekend outing. In the same way, your self-introduction should be flexible yet consistent. Let's dive into some practical examples. Imagine you're a student attending a university orientation. Someone asks, "Tell me about yourself." You could say, "Hi, I'm Anjali. I'm from Jaipur, and I've just joined the business management program here. I've always been interested in how companies grow and build connections with people. During high school, I organized a small event to raise funds for a local charity, and that experience sparked my interest in leadership. I'm excited to learn more about management here and to meet like-minded people." Notice how this is short, relevant, and leaves a positive impression. Now, imagine you're at a networking event as a software developer. Your introduction could be, "I'm Raj, a software developer specializing in artificial intelligence. I started my career building small web applications, but over time I became fascinated by how AI can solve real-world problems. Currently, I'm working on projects that use AI to improve healthcare diagnostics. What excites me the most is the possibility of making technology not just smarter, but also more human-centered." This answer is professional, engaging, and opens the door for further conversation. But what about casual situations? Suppose you're meeting your friend's parents, and they ask about you. Instead of giving a stiff, professional response, you could say, "Well, I'm Priya, and I'm currently studying literature. I've always loved reading and writing, and I enjoy discussing stories from different cultures. In my free time, I like painting and trying out new recipes. I'm someone who loves exploring creativity in different forms." That sounds warm, relatable, and genuine. The key lesson here is this: your introduction is not about perfection, it's about connection. People don't remember every word you say, but they remember how you made them feel. Did you sound open? Did you sound confident? Did you sound real? That's what matters. Now let's tackle another important angle: body language and tone. Words are only part of communication. Imagine someone gives a perfect answer, but they look down, mumble, and fidget nervously. The impression becomes weak. On the other hand, even a simple answer delivered with a smile, eye contact, and steady voice feels strong and trustworthy. So, when you practice your self-introduction, don't just focus on words. Practice how you say them. Here's a quick exercise you can try. Stand in front of a mirror and say your self-introduction out loud. Notice your posture, your facial expressions, your gestures. Do you look confident? Do you sound natural? If not, adjust. This exercise may feel awkward at first, but it works wonders. Over time, your body learns to support your words. Another important factor is length. How long should your answer be? The golden rule is between 45 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on the situation. Too short, and it feels incomplete. Too long, and you risk losing attention. Aim for a sweet spot where your answer gives enough detail to spark interest, but leaves room for further conversation. Let's also talk about mistakes in tone. Some people speak too formally, sounding robotic, while others speak too casually, sounding unprofessional. The best tone is conversational yet respectful. Think of it as talking to a friendly mentor. Not too stiff, not too relaxed. At this point, let's add a practical reflection for listeners. Take a pen and paper and write down 3 things: your background, your current role or interest, and your future goal. Then try to weave them into a small story. For example, I grew up fascinated by design, studied architecture, and now I'm focusing on sustainable housing projects. My dream is to create eco-friendly spaces that people can actually afford. Simple, clear, and personal. Before we wrap up this part, let's highlight a deeper point. Learning to answer, "Tell me about yourself," is also about learning to value your own journey. Many times, people think their story is not special. But remember, your story is unique because it's yours. The details, the challenges, the small victories, they all add up to make you who you are. Sharing that with honesty and confidence is what makes your introduction powerful. We've explored the foundations, the frameworks, and the examples of answering the question, "Tell me about yourself." Now it's time to go deeper into the advanced techniques that can truly set you apart. This part is about fine-tuning your response, avoiding subtle mistakes, and building a version of your introduction that you can confidently carry into any situation. Let's begin with a common concern. How do I highlight my achievements without sounding arrogant? This is a question many people struggle with. The secret lies in balance. Confidence is about owning your accomplishments, but humility is about recognizing the journey behind them. Instead of saying, "I'm the best at marketing," you could say, "I've been fortunate to work on campaigns that reached thousands of people, and those experiences taught me how powerful storytelling can be in marketing." Notice the shift. You're still sharing your success, but you're framing it as part of a learning journey, not a boast. Another technique is to focus on impact rather than titles. People may forget your exact job title, but they'll remember the impact you created. For example, in my role as a teacher, I introduced a reading program that helped students improve their skills by 30%. Or, as part of a student club, I helped organize an event that raised funds for a local shelter. These examples show what you did and why it mattered. That's far more powerful than just stating your position. Now, let's discuss alignment. A great self-introduction is not just about who you are. It's also about showing why you fit the moment. If you're at a job interview, align your answer with the role. If you're at a networking event, align your answer with shared interests. If you're in a casual conversation, align your answer with relatability. Alignment creates relevance, and relevance builds connection. Here's a practical exercise. Imagine you're interviewing for a role in project management. Instead of a general introduction, you could say, "I started my career in engineering, but I quickly realized my strength lies in organizing teams and managing timelines. Over the last 3 years, I've successfully delivered projects in different industries, from construction to IT. What excites me about this role is the chance to bring together my technical background and my love for management to deliver real results." This answer doesn't just say who you are, it shows why you belong in that role. But what if you're not in an interview? Let's imagine you're at a creative networking event. You might say, "I'm a graphic designer who loves exploring how visuals can tell powerful stories. I've worked on brand identities for startups, and I'm currently experimenting with animation. I enjoy connecting with other creatives to share ideas and collaborate on meaningful projects." That feels natural, conversational, and relevant to the people around you. Now, let's explore the power of personal touch. Sometimes, adding a small personal detail makes your introduction memorable. For example, "I'm a data analyst by profession, but in my free time, I love playing the violin. I find that both require patience and creativity, which keeps me balanced." That one personal note makes your answer stand out. But remember, the personal touch should always be appropriate for the context. You wouldn't share your weekend habits in a serious boardroom, but you might share them in a casual coffee chat. Let's shift gears and talk about practice. Many people think they can just improvise their self-introduction. But when the moment comes, nerves take over. That's why practice is crucial. Here are 3 steps you can follow. First, write down your introduction. Put your thoughts on paper so you can see the structure clearly. Second, say it out loud multiple times. Reading silently is not the same as speaking. Your tongue, your tone, and your rhythm need practice. Third, record yourself. Listen to how you sound. Are you rushing? Are you clear? Do you sound natural? The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Another tip is to prepare multiple versions of your introduction. Have a 30-second version, a 1-minute version, and a 2-minute version. That way, you're ready for any situation. A quick hello in an elevator, a short introduction in a meeting, or a detailed response in an interview, you'll never be caught off guard. Let's also talk about self-awareness. Sometimes, we focus so much on impressing others that we forget to be ourselves. A powerful introduction doesn't come from pretending to be someone you're not. It comes from embracing who you are and presenting it with confidence. Ask yourself, what values define me? What experiences shape me? What goals drive me? When your answer reflects these truths, it feels authentic, and authenticity is magnetic. Now, let's look at some advanced examples across different fields. For a teacher, an introduction could be, I'm a high school English teacher with 5 years of experience. What I love most about teaching is helping students discover the power of language. I've developed interactive methods that make learning literature engaging, and I'm passionate about creating a classroom where every student feels heard. In the future, I'd like to contribute to curriculum design on a larger scale. For an entrepreneur, it might sound like, I started my journey with a simple idea to make healthy food more accessible. Over the past 2 years, I've built a small but growing startup that delivers affordable, nutritious meals to students and professionals. What motivates me is the belief that good food fuels good thinking, and I'm excited to expand this mission further. For a student preparing for higher studies, the answer could be, I'm currently completing my degree in environmental science. Over the past 3 years, I've been involved in research on renewable energy and sustainability. I presented a paper at a national conference, and that experience deepened my interest in pursuing further studies abroad. My goal is to contribute to global efforts in fighting climate change through innovative research. For a creative professional, you might hear, I'm a filmmaker who believes in the power of stories to create social impact. I worked on documentaries that highlight issues like education and climate change. What excites me is using visual storytelling not just to entertain, but to inspire action. These examples show that no matter your field, the formula remains the same: clarity, confidence, connection. Before we end, I want you to do one final exercise. After listening to this podcast, take 5 minutes to write down your self-introduction. Then practice it out loud 3 times. Tomorrow, try it again. By the end of the week, you'll notice how much more natural and confident you sound. Remember, the way you talk about yourself shapes the way the world sees you. Don't leave it to chance. Prepare, practice, and own your story. This brings us to the close of today's deep dive on answering Tell Me About Yourself. I hope this discussion has given you not just strategies, but also the confidence to present yourself with clarity and authenticity. Thank you for joining me on the English Diary podcast. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe, because more conversations like this are on the way, conversations that will help you grow in language, communication, and life.